Hi again, folks. Yeah, I've realised that lots of my recent videos have been quite critical of, and so rightly, of some archaeologists and some organisations. And I did say recently that I'm going to be focusing on my acting career and that being an archaeologist since before the age of 10, and I've been involved for over 35 years. And what's happening is that my business archaeology company, it was always planned that my business archaeology company would be in 2020. I was going to sort of semi-retire sort of the following August, which would have been 2021. Well, we had the fictitious pandemic hit us, and I basically taught online from the 21st of March, solidly, practically every single day of the week. And at one stage, I had 75 students online, and that was really successful time for archaeology company. In fact, it was our greatest sort of time for archaeology company, and it was really successful. And it did wear me out though, and we lost four of our students due to COVID, but they never had it. And you know, and they, well, all four of them couldn't get hospital treatment, and they didn't have that stupid, silly thing that we locked down the country for. And one thing that did was make me very, very angry, and that you know that I'd lost four people because of it, and the toll after the toll going into at least by about June, July last year was really showing. And but we kept things going, and we kept things going long enough that by June this year, the writing was on the wall, and that I'd really done my bit for archaeology and archaeology company, my business, and the limited company, which was archaeology online virtual, which that's no more now because we've closed that down. And so what I will be doing in archaeology, make this very clear, is that I've got lots of field work to write up. I've got lots of archaeology to publish, and I've got lots of reports to do, and there's lots of really exciting stuff that I need to put into print. So that's what I need to do. So that means that my teaching will only be one evening a week. Well, I want it to be one evening a week, but it's two at this minute. But from like 10 classes that I was doing every week, it's gone down to two, so that's fine. And one of the you know, obviously my YouTube stuff is really important because I will be continuing to make videos like this and archaeological content and so on. But it's just stepping away from the teaching and excursions and sort of all that sort of gubbins and running a business and so on. So that's what I'm stepping away from, really. And but with Archaeology Company, we've still got our membership. We've still got our publication, a listing pillar that we send out. So that will continue to be sent out. So it's not the end. One of the things I'd like to share with you is a really, 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 really important point. And well, it's actually two important points. And I'm going to start off with the one that is in context first of all. I've got a very, very dear friend. I believe he's a very dear friend because he's a chap by the name of Alan Gibbon. And I love him to bits because, years ago, when Archaeology Company was really new, this was in about 19 1996, I think it was. Alan got in. Alan helped me a little bit with the business back then. So it's 1996, and and we met up a couple of times, and we were going to go on this grand tour of Wales back then, but we never did it. Looking at the castles, and then years later, I bumped into Alan in Tesco's, and there was in it was the year was, I do believe, 2012. The Cosmester Medieval Village project that he worked for, basically him and another chap who's going to be mentioned in this video called Nick Coles, right? It was they had both lost their jobs that they had held at Cosmester Medieval Village for basically 2 decades, because the council were making cuts well over 2 decades. And I'm getting around to it. And when I mentioned on my Facebook page that I was stepping away from archaeology Cymru and archaeology, Alan just gave the usual wisdom that he has throughout my entire life. He basically said, well, it's a new chapter. One chapter closes and another chapter opens. And he's very right. He's so right. He's always right. Alan, you never get it wrong if you're watching this. And the other person, Nick Coles, was... There's something about this guy, and I mentioned him in a previous video, my bit about Glamorgan Gwent Archaeological Trust, which is a video that I've got to do a part 2 for. And Nick, I saw him as this inaccessible guy that did archaeology as an archaeologist, and he became manager of Cosmeston, and I should leave this next bit in detail for the Glamorgan Gwent Archaeological Trust video, but I will say about Nick, there was, when at Cosmeston, this was 1995. We were part of the August bank holiday event at Cosmeston, and I'd taken some volunteers along to help out, and then there was something that happened, i.e., the council didn't want me there, and Nick said, look, he's brought volunteers along, he's working as a volunteer here today, we need him here, and he was really supportive that day. Anyway, long story short, a few years later, this is 2007 now. So, over a decade on, 2007, I'd had contact with Nick. And he did a lecture for Archaeology Cymru and stuff. Anyway, 2007 came, and my life wasn't going well. And I'm not going to go into that detail. My life wasn't going well. And it was at the point that, my career had taken a real dive, because I was no longer a member of the Institute of Field Archaeology. Check the Institute of Field Archaeology video. And basically, I went to Cosmeston in sort of a little bit of a hell of a state, 2007. And I went to see Nick, and he basically, he said some really important stuff to me, and I told him about my archaeological career. Everything had gone to pot, and he basically said, look, Karl, you can always come back to it. And and I looked through a load of medieval pottery at Cosmeston. You know, some of those little bits of pottery may have been little bits of pottery that I may have actually found as a volunteer when I was at Cosmeston years ago, and some of those bits of pottery may have actually been bits of pottery that I'd actually washed. Anyway, you know, Nicholas said you could always come back to it. The thing is, you know, am I halfway through my life? If I'm halfway through my life, then maybe I could go back to archaeology when I'm 70, or start teaching again when I'm 70, or maybe I won't. Maybe I don't need to. Or, you know, it's not the end, is it? Because I'll be publishing my archaeological reports. I'll be also book writing. I'll be doing my holistic pillar. I'll be doing TV work involving archaeology and YouTube. So it's not the end of the game. It's not over. So, you know, keep supporting me and watching these videos. And then, you know, thankful again to Nick when a few years later, I went to Cosmeston with a female friend of mine, and we had just got out the car and we were just going to go look at the lakes. This was like 2000 and I think it was about 2009, 2010. And then we were just going into Cosmeston Lakes, and Nick was pulling out to drive off, and I waved at him, and he drove all the way around, and he came back to see me, and he shook my hand, and he said, "Hiya, Karl." And I was just really thankful for that moment. You know, a fellow archaeologist sort of being there. He had been there for me a few years earlier. And he was so nice and friendly towards me, this Nick Coles. And yeah, I really appreciated that. So I realised that, you know, not all archaeologists are bad people, and which there a lot are, but this was not a bad person. And a few years later, back in 2012, I tried to support him to try to keep his job at Cosmeston, but that wasn't to be. If Nick, you're watching this video and I don't know what you're doing anymore. I haven't heard from you, but Nick, thank you. And Alan Gibbon, thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll end this video today, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep watching, keep supporting me. And if you press the join button down below, it sort of encourages me to write, you know, do more stuff and keep things going. So join my channel, join it. It's £1.99 a month. It sort of helps keeps the wolves from the door, I know. And or if you want to do £10 a month as a sort of, you know, a bigger supporter member, everything helps. It really, 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 really does. If you ever want to come on and have a Zoom discussion with me online, right? Yes, we could do that. Just get in touch if you want to do that. Speak to me, communicate, like, subscribe, join button. Different rates for members. Love it. Thanks, guys. Keep watching. Cheers.